accident, there's this judgment, like, well, you should exercise more, you should eat the right foods. But that's not my story. I mean, I was in the prime of my life, rode my Peloton all the time, like ate a pretty healthy diet, and I woke up on a Sunday morning of Labor Day weekend and I just collapsed without warning. And I didn't have any symptoms before that. And my husband had been trained in CPR over 20 years ago. And he called 911 and they told him, like, immediately start CPR. So my husband started CPR within about 90 seconds. And that is what saved my life, because if my husband had waited until the ambulance came, I wouldn't have made it. And that's probably one of the first things that I want to point out to people is really get certified, because so many times people have cardiac arrest and people just don't know what to do. And it's really like that first minute to 90 seconds that you need to act. And so if you're not certified, get certified. But the EMTs came, the police came, they were taking turns doing CPR on me. And I was laying on my bedroom floor without a pulse for like 15 or 20 minutes. And they kept doing CPR and checking for a pulse, no pulse. So finally the EMT tells my husband, your wife has a 50-50 chance, but if she's gonna have a chance, you have to take her to University of Minnesota. Well, I live in Plymouth, that's like 25 minutes away. And my husband's like, I'm passing 3 hospitals, and the person was adamant. And so they were able, in the ambulance ride, my heart did start. But that was after 25 minutes of no pulse, so I was unconscious. And when I got to Minnesota, my cardiologist, who's still one of my cardiologists, what nobody knew is he was a resuscitation expert. His name is Dr. Jason Bartos. And he developed a lot of these protocols for resuscitation, and he basically directed what to do, which was a lot of things that they do, but I was put in a medically induced coma and chilled down to 92 degrees to allow my brain to heal. And like that's one of the reasons that's really motivated me to raise money, because my nurse told me 5 years ago they didn't have the protocols that would have been able to bring me back. And so that's the research that people are doing. And my cardiologist, every time I come in, he's like, it's so rewarding to see you, because you've worked on this for so many years. And at first, these protocols are new, so they didn't really know. They told my husband, like, I'm gonna go to like 6 weeks of cardiac rehab, and all of that kind of stuff. But I've always been a fighter and a really feisty person. And when they first brought me out of the coma, I'm like trying to take out the breathing tube, and they're like, okay, we're gonna have to knock you back out. And they did that. And I think that's one of the things that really brought me through, because when I came out of the coma, I called people. My friend Lisa's back there. I called her like 6:30 in the morning, and I was talking to her like a regular conversation, and she was like, just been a coma for 4 days. And I'm like, how are you doing? But I was still walking with a walker, because when they do CPR on you, it fractured my sternum, all of the shocks from the defibrillator, I was really beat up. But I was so determined that I wasn't gonna leave the hospital with a walker. And so when after a few weeks in the hospital, I'm just like, I don't know how this is gonna work out, but I'm just not taking a walker with me. And I just kind of forced myself to walk. And really, I went to cardiac rehab for 3 months, 3 days a week, just mental health therapy, all kinds of things. And I was able to, do the right things to get back. I'm really grateful for the research that helped me get back, and that the doctors knew what to do. The biggest lesson I learned is you can't control if you have a heart attack. There's so many people that they're living a normal life and that happens to, but how you treat your body before has a lot to do with your recovery. And so that's why it is important to exercise and do these things, because it was so much easier for me in cardiac rehab, wanting to live in that fight. And I know that drives my family crazy. They're always like, you're so like cantankerous and feisty. But I think in this case, that was the thing that made me like, I have to get back, and just really motivated me to want to get back to myself. And so now I go back, I'm back at work. After my event, 6 weeks, I went back to work, and I work a full-time job, and my job does require me to do a lot of math, and so I can do all of that. 2 outcomes I have is I am fatigued. So one of the biggest life changes I've had is I have to rest more, and I have to do a lot more better with self-care, because I have to recharge the batteries. So that's a little bit about, that's my story.
Thank you for